A computer show dedicated to the Amiga is not something I've been to since 1993. Hello Cave Dwellers, yes, we're going to change all that today. We're going to see some cool hardware, old and new. We're going to meet Amigans all coming together to share their passion for the machines and the community, as well as trade stands and their wares. And we're going to party hard. But first, we have to get there. I'm setting up a stand at the show. It's called Kickstart. It's the brainchild of Rabbi Abbott, who you may know from the Retro Hour podcast, and it's about 3 hours from the Cave in Nottingham, home of course to Robin Hood. Alex from the Arcade Archive is coming along for the ride with us, and we're hoping to raise awareness of both of our museums while we're there and make lots of new friends. I wanted to do this right, so I spent a couple of days prepping and packing. And thankfully Alex has got a van, so we've actually got something to fit that in and drive it up in. And he himself is taking an arcade machine after a quick adjustment to drill out the lock and put a new one in so that we actually have a key for it. So let's go on a very Amiga retro road trip to Kickstart show number 1. We'd like to thank PCBWay.com for supporting our episode today. They aren't just about PCBs, although they do a tremendous job of that. They also offer CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, 3D printing and injection moulding. If you're creating, then PCBWay.com can help you bring your project to life. Get an instant quote now over at PCBWay.com, and we thank them for their support. Meadow Lane is our venue for Kickstart, home of Notts County Football Club, aka the Magpies. Here are the turnstiles that fans have been coming through since 1910 when the ground was built. And if we turn around and look behind us, we can see up there is where we need to get our stand, our arcade machine and all of our other bits into the show to set up. The event is split across 2 rooms, with the first being the talks and traders area, that's where we're based, and we'd made it in good time on the Friday to set up ready for the Saturday morning opening. Familiar faces started to show up, including the Pixel Addict guys, Immortal Joysticks, Amiga Kit, Retro Passion and Stephen Jones with his Checkmate gear. The man who has probably attended more Amiga shows than anyone else I know. Our friend James was also there with his Amiga-designed Civitas Universe board games. He's based in the same town as the Cave, he's a regular and he's setting up board game nights with us, so if that's your thing, we'll be doing that very regularly soon. And he and everyone else was in good spirits, but also intrigued to see how this brand new show would go. Would people turn up? Would it capture the spirit of the old shows that I'm hankering for? Would the beer be any good? All important questions that we need answers to. And when Saturday came, I'm really pleased to say, so did the Amigans. Day 1 had completely sold out its full quota of 300 tickets for the day, and the room was abuzz. There was a really great feeling from the start. Our stand was set up, a little corner of the Cave that came with us, and we just had the chance to chat to lots and lots of you. It also just happened to be in a prime position to watch the many talks that were hosted through the weekend, so that was ideal. So this is room 1 with the traders in, but there's a lot more going on next door in the user groups room, so let's go and take a peek in there. The user groups in this room include the local one, Robin Hood Amiga user group. We've also got a Scottish user group, Yorkshire Amiga group, Southwest Amiga group, which is one I visited before, and other people besides showing off their pride and joy. We had every kind of machine and upgrade going in here. The atmosphere was so warm and welcoming and everyone was so friendly that I decided to get chatting to everyone that I could. They more than anyone else can share their personal experiences of how the show's gone for them, and I think that speaks volumes.
Hi, I'm Rob. I'm known for things like Drawbridge and getting floppy disks working in WinUAE, but today I'm here helping people back up their floppy disks and storing them on USB so they can save them forever. But I'm also here promoting Retro Directory, which you haven't seen yet is something you really need to check out. It's a great directory where you can go and look and find all of the retro exciting places near you. The Retro Directory is completely free to use, but it's also completely free to list on, and you don't have to be the owner or the owner of the venue. You can go on there, register for an account, submit it, and if you've not fully filled it in, that's fine, I'll finish it for you. And then it's great, you've got a listing on there and you've supported the retro community. Originally it had around sort of 100 listings on it. We're now up to almost 1,000 listings, and they literally are all over the world, from America, Japan, everywhere. It's crazy. And I get submissions for it every single day. It's really, really great response. It's constantly having new features added to it as well, which is great. And I have a whole list of extra things I want to add. I'm even getting feedback today, which is really, really nice. I've got a disc copying station here. It's got 3 drives on it, and the idea is it's completely self-service. So you'll come along with a floppy disk and a USB drive, follow the instructions, and it will tell you to put the disk in, and it will literally back the whole thing up for you and store it on a drive for you. It's got 2 options. It can store it as an ADF, which is great because then it verifies to make sure that actually the integrity of the data's there. Or if it's something maybe a little bit more specialized, like a copy protected disk, you can use the SCP format, and that gets backed up and copied onto the drive for you as well. So it's great for preserving those disks that you perhaps maybe are worried that you might lose one day, because they're all, unfortunately, slowly dying. And at the end of the month, I am popping down to see Neil at the cave because I have something very exciting to show him, which I've not told him what it is yet, but it involves the Mister.
I'm Scott MacDonald. I'm from Southwest Amiga Group, and this is my Amiga 1200 with a Pi-Storm 32 Lite inside. So I have RGB coming out of here and the Pi-Storm HDMI, and I just use a HDMI switcher to flick between RGB and RTG. The case is a A1200.net CD32 case, and then I decided to try a completely different keyboard. So this is a Rasport keyboard that you can sometimes get hold of when they're in stock. So this is a Cherry MX keyboard, so you can put your own keycaps on if you want to, but I just really like the look. It's slightly more rounded on the keys, but I really went for the grey / blacked out look for the CD32. Today I'm trying to beat Lemmings in a single sitting right from the very beginning, and then I realized after I've gone through levels 1 to 30 that there's another 30 and another 30 and another, so it's kind of messed up there, but I'm going to give it a good shot. If you're in the Southwest, then come see us at the next SWAG event. We'll be holding it in September. I think it's September 23rd.
My name is Michael Spindler, and I came here from Germany to show you my Akiko Portable, which is based on my Akiko 32 mainboard, which is again based on an Amiga CD32 with a 030 CPU and some fast RAM, IDE controller, clock port, I2C bus. And in this case, the board is nearly finished, so I decided to go to create some more portable version that I can take to some meetings or wherever. And this is the current result as a prototype. It's mini ITX, so 17 to 17 centimeters dimension. So the normal board can be put in a PC case. I just removed the ports at the back side, and then it fits in this case. There is no FPGA, it's a real AGA chipset, Alice, Lisa, Paula, Akiko, a CPU, kickstart, some RAM, so it's real hardware, not FPGA hardware. The plan is to release the board itself as open source, and later on I think I will release the case files as well, so everyone can build something. So I have the website akiko.computer, where you can find some basic information. Normally I'm just posting information in the A1K forum, the German forum. I got lots of input here from people, how I can improve or change things. That's really, really great here.
Hi, I'm Rob. I'm here with the Scottish Amiga User Group. I'm Irish. I'm an honorary Scotsman. I have brought with me my development machine, which never has its lid on. This is what I've been using for developing my Solus board. Solus is Irish for light, and that's where the name comes from. This started off as a little project for one of the Scottish guys who just wanted some lights in his case, and it was locked down. Everyone was at home, and it ended up being it ended up growing arms and legs, and it's the biggest. A lot of feature creep I've ever had to deal with, but basically what it'll do is it lets the Amiga control two different sets of lights, the same kind of RGB lights that you get in the PC cases, and it also has some temperature sensors on there. It can run some fans, and it can base them on the temperatures. It can run these little LCD displays to give you some text output from the Amiga, or just give you the temperature sensor outputs. What it can do is it takes a mono audio feed from where the RF modulator is on the Amiga. So it's the only place on the motherboard where you can get a mono feed, and that means it samples all the channels basically, and it can run. You can see it there. It's bouncing away to whatever mod is playing at the moment. So if we stop the audio, it goes back and does its kind of standby things, but you can change those patterns as well. And hopefully at some point this year it'll become a thing that people can actually buy. You can go. I have my website, robthenerd.com. So that's me, and the Solus is one of the first projects on there.
A few voices there, and we have got lots more people to chat to. But as Saturday evening drew in, well, something else happened, which a lot of people seem to enjoy.
Party last night and everyone going out, and because that was quite something.
Yeah, so I'm somewhat a bit blurred today, but it was a brilliant night. Some of the artists were absolutely unbelievable.
After party last night was excellent. Johnny's feeling fairly rough.
And last night we all got drunk and watched Hoffman play music, so what more can you ask for, to be honest?
Here I go, out to sea again. The sunshine fills my hair, and dreams hang in the air. Gulls in the sky, and in my grey eye, you know it feels unfair. There's magic everywhere. Look at me standing here on my own again, up straight in the sunshine. No need to run or hide. It's so wonderful.
And yes, that was John Hare singing there, founder of Sensible Software, serenading us with the theme tune to Cannon Fodder and many other songs besides. John was one of the many guest speakers over the weekend, and I like that the talks were also all streamed live on Twitch when they happened, and online questions were taken, which was just a really nice touch. We recovered on our stand on the Sunday with coffee and donuts, and the day came to life a little bit more slowly than the Saturday, but that's understandable. So this gave me a chance to get the camera out without tripping people up, being a little bit less busy, and we can chat to some more of our showgoers.
Hi, my name's Zeb. I'm from Southwest Amiga Group, and this is my Amiga 1200 with two monitors on it, and because it's Pi-stormed. I've got my HDMI coming out the back, going into that monitor, and then when I'm playing a game that uses a native screen mode, it comes into the back on that one. It saves having single monitor, having to switch over all the time. Storage wise, it's got a 256 gigabyte micro SD card, which I've partitioned off, and I do the WHD load pack for the Commodore Amiga Group. This is a list of all my partitions that I've got set up. We've got Workbench, which are set to 512 meg. We've got Work, which is 93 gig. We've got Data, which is 93 gig. We've got Coding, which is 18 gig. And we've got WHD load, which I've set to 14 gig. We've got the RAM disk, which is 333 meg, which is how much RAM you get with the Pi 3A Plus, which I've got installed. The user FAT partition is access to the boot partition on the PiStorm card, which is what gets booted up. It's a FAT32 partition, and it's read-only at the moment. I'm hoping they're going to make it so it's writable as well, and that allows easy transfer of data between my PC at home and the Amiga, so it's really, really easy to transfer files across. One thing I did learn about this when I set it up was when I originally had work set at about 200 gig partition, and when it came to format it, because of all those large partitions are set up as PFS3, and I got a warning come up to say that because the partition was over 404 meg, PFS goes into test mode, so it can't guarantee the safety of the data. So I decided to split it up because I don't want to lose any data. I originally modified my original case and I sprayed it pearlescent red. Didn't realise that the red paint was reacting with a pair of gloves that I put on, ruined it. I was going to get rid of my Amiga. I was waiting for the keycaps to come through, and I put a post on the Commodore Amiga group asking for a case because I decided to keep it because of the PiStorm. Makes it a lot more usable. And I was gifted a case from Amiga Marcel very nicely, and it was one of 10 of the test cases that was done, and they tried putting 10% black dye plastic with 90%, and this was the result, and it's the smoke case. This came from AmigaSpirit.com. I put this in yesterday because my original Gotek was just poking out the side circuit board.
I'm Andrew from Immortal Joysticks. When I started getting back into the Amiga, I was looking for a quality joystick, and I couldn't really find anything out there that I was happy with, so I decided to have a go at making my own. So for the last couple of years I've been hand building them to order, and I've just sort of got to the point where I've outgrown that now. So the next stage is to try and get them batch manufactured, and I'm running a Kickstarter to try and get the funding required to get the minimum order quantity. The enclosures are aluminium alloy enclosures. All of the parts are premium arcade parts that we're importing from Japan, so we're using Sanwa and Sumitsu parts for everything. They're wired to the Atari standard 9-pin port, so that will work with all of the Atari systems, all of the Amiga systems. It will work on the Spectrum with the Kempston interface. It will work on the Sega Master System. It does work on the Mega Drive, but obviously you've only got 2 buttons. There's also a ton of adapters out there already for 9-pin joysticks to various systems. So you can get adapters for BBC Micro and a whole other load of systems. So when I started getting back into the Amiga, I realised that I didn't know as much as I thought I did about Amiga. So I used the screen name Amiga for Mortals when I got back into the scene. And then when I started doing the joysticks, I was like, well, I wanted it to be a play on that, but it couldn't be mortal because it's so heavy duty, it's going to last forever. And so that was where Immortal Joysticks came from. You can go to immortaljoysticks.co.uk and there'll be a pop-up and a link that will take you through to the Kickstarter page. The Kickstarter is running through until 9 o'clock Friday morning, and we're about 60% of the way through at the time of filming. So yeah, hopefully this is the last push to get it to the goal.
I'm Mike from Yorkshire Amiga. This is my Amiga. It's got a 500++ board, prison spec LCD monitor, which I had to get imported from the US. Still got a prisoner's name engraved on the back of it, which I thought was quite funny. It's got a RGB to HDMI adapter in, which provides HDMI out. LED strips. I got a bit carried away at AliExpress, and yeah, this is my second attempt. The first LEDs that I put in here were drawing so much amperage I was warming up the main board in it. So yeah, this is kind of a bit of a compromise. I did polish the underside of the keyboard because obviously it comes in quite a bare rough metal really, so I polished that to a shine. Stuck the LED panel that I bought along the bottom of it. Looks great, could light up a room, but obviously drew too many amps. Made everybody uncomfortable that was around the machine, and yeah, it'd be quite good for a lighthouse, to be honest with you. Used to have a PiStorm in here, but I got rid of that just due to compatibility issues, and instead I've got a GVP A530 sidecar on here. which is running a 40 megahertz 430 processor. The original hard drive's been removed because that went up in smoke quite some time ago. And yeah, it's been replaced with an SD card, which makes it nice and easy. Originally, well, I will eventually be changing that for something clear to match the aesthetic of this a bit better. But yeah, that's pretty much the Amiga as it is today, really. We'll hold meets on a regular basis, generally around the Yorkshire region. We do have a meet over at Rochdale as well. I've got meets over at Sheffield. Next one's 8th of July. And we're doing a meet at the Northwest Computer Museum at on the 18th of November, which is a really good museum. It's worth a visit in itself. But yeah, I hope to see you there.
Hi, I'm Ian from Amiga Addicts. We're here at Kickstarter 01. This is our big stand that we've got. If you haven't heard of Amiga Addicts, and I'm sure most of you will have done by now, it's a magazine recently released. Well, say recently, we've been going about 2.5 years now. Crazy, but we've got 22 issues now, and it's all about the sort of retro Amiga scene, but also the modern Amiga scene as well. All the new games coming out, so much stuff in there. And then we've also got the sister magazine, Pixel Addict, which is a more retro lifestyle kind of magazine, covers everything else. So if you're a more generalised kind of retro user, or you've got a lot of systems, then that might be more in your cup of tea. You can get them in the shops. If you go into W.H. Smith, you can go along to addict.media or amiga-addict.com to pick up the magazine, and we'd love to have you. We do subscriptions and everything, so come along and enjoy the magazine and come and see us at events, because we're trying to be at as many events as we can, and this has been great, to be honest. So come and see us, and we'd love to see you.
Hi, I'm Stephen Jones from Amiga Limited, and I'm here showing my Checkmate displays. The monitor is designed to allow nearly all retro consoles, computers to be able to plug into it. It has a retro aesthetic, which means it has some depth at the back. The thickness at the back is to hide the controllers and the interfaces to all the different types of inputs. For example, composite, S-video, component, the usual VGAs and HDMIs, but even some are more, for example, CGA and EGA, so we have all that kind of technology built in. So the Kickstarter was a success in December 22, and the planned shipping date is September. Everything's going really well. The chassis is complete, and that's about to be signed off to go into production. The electronics may be taking a little bit longer, so I think we may end up pushing back to like October. But apart from that, everything's pretty much on track. But we've gone overboard with the electronics, so hence the delay. One of the things to take into the shows is that people can see the actual panels and hear the sound and literally get to the feel for it. And it's much easier. You can never get this across in videos. So you come to the show, you have a look, and so half the people are backers, and they're like, I'd like another one. Or they're people who missed it, and now looking at it and saying, actually, I'd like to get on board, when can I do that? So it's been very, very positive. The website is checkmate1500plus.com, and that's the 1500, the number. And on Kickstarter, you can search for Checkmate displays, but that's the best places to start from, the website.
Hi, I'm Ravi. I'm the founder and organiser of Kickstart. I organised it because I went to some shows back in the days, and I go to quite a few international shows as well, and the UK's needed this focus. It's needed a bigger show, and it's not happened for years. There's been some really good efforts before, and I just thought it needed to happen, so get it done. I think the highlight for me was seeing everybody happy at the after party at the very end of it. You know, also everybody coming to Nottingham. It's my hometown. I'm really proud of Nottingham, and just having people come from all over the globe and have a big party and kind of join us. Yeah, Bringing the user groups together was really important for me. I've been to a lot of the old Amiga shows in the past. They'd always try to sell you a computer that never existed. There'd be a lot of hype for a lot of years, and you know, it's important to have the user groups because they're the lifeblood of the system. They've kept it going whilst, you know, companies couldn't produce a t-shirt. Definitely going to do it again. Yeah, I think it's gone beyond what I could have dreamed, and I work in events, and that's a kind of part of my life that I've never connected with my hobby, and I think that's worked really well. Hope people have really enjoyed it. I hope we could see you next year, and it would be great to see a lot of people from other countries as well come to the UK, come to Nottingham and have a big party.
People here are great, the show is great. I really enjoyed my stay, and I hope to be here next year.
The event today and yesterday, it's been absolutely phenomenal. The amount of people here and the atmosphere, it's just been incredible, so friendly and warmth. And if you were thinking of coming to a similar Amiga event, I can highly recommend it. It's absolutely worth it.
This is well, this has been fantastic. I think, yeah, it's been a long time coming. I think this, because you know, we've had lots of other user groups, and they've all been having their meetups in the last few years. But this has been amazing, seeing everyone and meeting loads of people for the first time in the flesh. You know, having been friends with them for years and chatting for years, it's just been a fantastic experience.
The Kickstart's been great. Considering it's the very first one, it's ran exceptionally smoothly. Ravi's done a fantastic job with his team, and I hope comes back next year because we'll be here.
I think an amazing success. We've had lots of people turn up. It's run smoothly, and I'm looking forward to next year because we will be here.
At last! No, it's great because the last Amiga, actual official Amiga show I did was before some of you were born. So it's really great to come to an actual Amiga show. Now there are other shows obviously we've been going to, the Retcons and Swags and that kind of thing, and they're all getting bigger and bigger, but it was absolutely fantastic to have an actual Amiga show. So if you're in Europe and you're a dealer, come next year.
And with that, it was time to pack up and leave. Our first experience exhibiting at an expo, and it was wonderful. We met so many great people, and I really didn't have to speak much on this video because their voices did such a good job of relaying what a fantastic event it was. So thank you to everyone who took the time to speak to me. Thank you to everyone who came up to our stand as well for a chat and to look at all the goodies that we had on the shelves. Well done to the Kickstart team for arranging such a fantastic weekend, especially that after party. I agree with everyone else, it was such a fantastic night. And Kickstart is definitely one to look out for. Maybe I'll see you there next year. Thanks so much for watching, and take care everyone.